Transcultural Nursing Judaism by Victoria Cummings, the University of North Carolina, Wilmington, Nursing 480. The purpose of this presentation is to bring awareness to the Jewish faith related to health care. Part of learning about any new culture includes the foods they eat, celebrations, holidays, rituals, and healthcare beliefs. The plan is to inform nurses about the Jewish faith and culture so that they can better educate and serve their patients that are of this culture and faith. The goal is to teach other healthcare professionals how to care for this patient population. Knowing the norms for any culture significantly benefits the care that the healthcare personnel can deliver. Why is it important? A big part of understanding any religion is knowing about their holidays and rituals. In this presentation, we will explore the different beliefs of the Jewish faith and how they relate to healthcare. I will also discuss how, as a healthcare professional, you can use this information in your practice. Facts about Judaism: common rituals, Hebrew prayers. The synagogue is slightly more formal than the temple, but both are led by a rabbi, and they both share many aspects. The services typically last an hour on Sunday mornings, and some have Wednesday night services as well. At the synagogue, most of the prayers are said in Hebrew, whereas at temple, some prayers are said in Hebrew and others in English. Health and hygiene are very important to the Jewish faith. They believe that pigs are disgusting, dirty creatures, and this is why they also do not eat pork. Another common ritual is Sabbath. Sabbath begins each Friday just before sunset and ends each Saturday shortly after sunset. It is a time for rest and worship and refraining from any work. Shabbat Shalom is a common phrase used during this time. A kosher diet is also important for the Jewish faith, and all that means is that the food was killed and prepared according to the Jewish standards. They also believe in not eating shellfish and not mixing milk and meat dishes together. Another popular holiday in the Jewish faith is Hanukkah. It is celebrated for 8 nights, usually in the month of December or late November. This year, it started Sunday, December 6th. It's known as the Festival of Lights, and it commemorates the miracle where the Shabbat candles stayed lit for 8 nights when there was only enough oil to last them for 1 night while they rebuilt the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. Each night of Hanukkah, an additional candle is lit on the menorah, which is featured in the picture on the presentation. The candles are lit by the shamash candle, which is a helper candle used to light the other candles, which makes the 9th candle and is usually in the center of the menorah. On the final night of Hanukkah, all 8 candles are lit, and 9 including the shamash candle. Each night at sundown, after prayers are said and the menorah is lit, children open presents and have a feast with their families and friends. A common food during Hanukkah is potato latkes, which is similar to hash browns and commonly are accompanied with some type of applesauce or apple. And playing dreidel is a common game where children spin a totem or like a gambling spinning top and bets are made. Passover is another important holiday. During the celebration of Passover, when the Jews fled slavery in Egypt led by Moses, there is a plate of food which is featured in the picture on the presentation, and it holds different the foods on this plate hold different representations. It's called the Passover Seder plate, and it includes foods like matzah, which is a Jewish bread, a roasted shank, commonly chicken, a hard-boiled egg, bitter herbs or horseradish, and a vegetable. A dish of salt water is used to dip the vegetables to represent the tears of the Jews. Matzah is a special Jewish bread that is used to represent when the Jews fled from Egypt and they didn't have time to make the bread. Before the bread ferments and rises, they went ahead and baked it, and it resulted in a hardened, flat-like cracker. The Jewish community has many special foods that they make for certain celebrations and holidays that are meaningful to their religion. Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. So, contrary to popular belief, Hanukkah is not the most important holiday for the Jewish community. Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur are the two most significant, and the holiest day is Yom Kippur. It's always the 10th day of the 7th month on the Hebrew calendar, and it's 10 days after Rosh Hashanah, which is the Jewish New Year. During the New Year, it's common to eat apples and honey to signify a sweet New Year. And during Yom Kippur, 10 days after the Jewish New Year, the Jewish community prays, repents, and gives to charity in order to be forgiven for their sins from the previous year. For 24 hours starting the eve of Yom Kippur, people of the Jewish faith gather at the synagogue and pray. They cannot eat, drink, bathe, have sexual relations, use electronics, or operate machinery, including driving a car. This day is for pure rest and prayer, and common symbols and emblems. Pictured below is the Star of David. Is a common symbol that's seen in the temples and the synagogues. It is the Jewish form of the cross, like for Christians. The Torah is a Jewish scroll that is sacred and holds the scripture. A yarmulke is a flat hat that is worn on the crown of male heads. This is commonly worn by males when they attend the temple or the synagogue or any other ceremony. Healthcare across the ages. Circumcision. The Jewish faith was the first to use circumcision and still have a ritual when baby boys are born, and it's called a bris. It's usually 8 days after birth. A bris is a celebration in the Jewish faith when an infant baby boy has his foreskin removed by a mohel. The mohel is a person of special training to perform circumcisions in the Jewish community. After the baby's procedure is complete, the mohel takes a glass of wine and puts a drop or two in the baby's mouth, and then the parents have a sip while a Jewish prayer is said. Sometimes in this prayer, the baby's Hebrew name is announced for the first time, making it a very special occasion. A bat mitzvah or a bar mitzvah is when Jewish teenagers turn 13 and they have a special celebration as a rite of passage for adulthood. For boys, a bar mitzvah, and for girls, it's a bat mitzvah. Before they have this rite of passage, they must go to Hebrew school and learn the Hebrew language, and they meet with their rabbi to learn Jewish prayers and philosophies. Then they must stand in front of the congregation and recite the prayers and passages in Hebrew and English, as seen on the picture below. After the ceremony, there is a reception where the young man or woman is rewarded with a party and gifts. These rituals and beliefs could affect the stay of a Jewish person in the hospital. Knowing about the foods they eat or don't eat and their beliefs are useful when taking care of this patient population. Abortion is another topic to acknowledge. The Jewish faith believes in abortion if it is necessary, but not as a means of birth control. Visitation during a hospital stay is considered a good deed for members of the synagogue, temple, and the rabbi to visit a person of the Jewish faith while they're in the hospital. End-of-life care. The Jewish culture believes that a person has the right to die with dignity, so no extreme measures are to be taken if death is imminent. Death rituals. The body is to be washed by members of the Jewish society. It's okay for a nurse to wash the body before it's sent to the funeral home. That's part of the policy in most hospitals, but they do it again as a Jewish ritual. Embalming and using cosmetics are forbidden because a public viewing is considered humiliation, so they refrain from doing those things. And cremation is also forbidden. Like a lot of religions, this is a special time for family and friends to mourn the loss of a loved one. So that's important for nurses to consider during this time. Diabetic patients and treatments. Since there are many Jewish holidays that require fasting, it's important to plan ahead. Monitor blood sugars during any fasting periods to prevent hypoglycemic episodes. Also limit foods high in sugar and fat to prevent hyperglycemic episodes. A lot of insulins contain pork derivatives, so that's important for a person of the Jewish faith to be aware of. Be sure to discuss this with your doctor, the types of medications that meet your religious needs. Social support from family and friends is another great way to manage diabetes and other illnesses for that matter. The Jewish faith, they believe in a strong social network, and it's important for their healing to have a strong support system. And my conclusion, health and hygiene is very important to the Jewish faith, as I mentioned before. Nurses play a primary role in the health management and education. Educate the Jewish culture to keep their healthcare providers informed about religious beliefs, therefore they can get the proper care that they need. Being culturally aware and recognizing other beliefs is useful in healthcare because it comforts patients when they are ill. When people are less stressed and are more familiar with their surroundings and their environment, it can allow them to focus on healing. Knowing more about the Jewish community and their values will help me in my practice. The Jewish faith has certain foods and rituals that are important to their culture, and this is important to know when caring for and educating the Jewish community. Being culturally competent will only better my nursing practice and my patients' healthcare services.